Hello everyone, this is Crota coming at you, giving you Game 1 in a series between WFZ and Yumiko. Game 1 taking place here on Ancient Isle 2. Gonna go ahead and speed things up to the 2-minute mark. One quick thing I wanted to point out to you guys out there. I do have a donation link if you guys want to support me. I know a lot of you guys out there skip ads, and that's totally fine. I understand that your guys' time is very, very important. I guess what is a decent amount of time. I think if everyone watched all of my videos and all of my content, if one person did that, I think it's like comes out to about $3 to $5 in ad revenue a year. So if you guys would like to make a donation, please do so, as it does help me invest in new computers and pay for this crazy internet bill in order to upload everything at a good pace. So I try not to make these announcements far too often because, well, it just doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like me. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going to be happening here. I'll probably get a lot of hate comments out there, but then again, well, this is the internet. All right, kind of wasted death coil coming in from WFZ onto the Archmage. Not going to really do very much, as the Archmage is just going to regenerate those hit points pretty naturally. The Death Knight now trying to regenerate some of that mana as well, and I guess no harm, no foul there really, as WFZ now running back with his Death Knight. Death Knight not getting any real harassment in, and I think the Archmage will be able to just drop another Water Elemental here, bring over a couple of militia, and the Death Knight's not going to really be able to do much. Yumiko can even bring over the Archmage and the Footman to engage against the Death Knight himself, as it's going to be rather difficult for the Death Knight to really get a death coil off on either of those creeps. You can see that the Archmage now sitting at level 2 with Brilliance Aura, and that's exactly what we were looking for. Yes, the Death Knight did get a kill steal right there, but the damage was pretty much already done. The Archmage just needed to get to level 2, and that's exactly what happened. Archmage sitting at level 2 with Brilliance Aura will be able to continue to creep unimpeded by the lack of mana, as the Death Knight still has nothing to really show for it. This is pretty much the standard strategy, as the Death Knight is now teching to tier 2 rather fast in that tech to tier 2, and he should be getting up Crypt Fiends and eventually that Lich. Meanwhile, Yumiko looking to do the standard playbook here on Ancient Isle. He will be going for a militia clear of this 2 to 3 o'clock expansion location. And with that expansion taken down, we most likely, or the creep count getting taken down, we'll most likely see an expansion with an Arcane Tower and an Arcane Vault. Very, very standard strategy to try to expand against your opponent and also place down that Arcane Vault. What that allows the human player to do is have a very, very comfortable place to retreat to, and then once more come back into engage. Death Knight may try to get a death coil off, and I believe he does steal the Null Overseer. That is actually a big steal right there, as the peasants are now all gonna get taken down. Death Knight may actually get to level 2 here pretty quickly, as you see a whole bunch of peasants off to the side. All right, Footman now chasing down the ghouls, and this is just not looking good at all. That the timing on that death coil was rather suspicious, as Yumiko perhaps a little bit upset by that, but we'll see how everything goes, as the Archmage did pick up a Pendant of Energy. There is that Arcane Tower, as I mentioned earlier, and now we should be seeing that Town Hall being placed down. Death Knight is still sitting at level 1, but with now Breath of Fire on the Panda, those Footmen will have to really play a very, very dangerous game. Using Defend to protect themselves against the Crypt Fiend will mean that the Panda can get into position much more easily. However, what needs to happen first is that Death Knight to grab Unholy Aura to give a little bit of movement speed boost to that Panda. Once that happens, the Footmen will have to balance themselves between taking piercing damage from the Crypt Fiends or Breath of Fire damage from that Panda. Either way, that damage will add up over time, as we now see Skeletal or Ghouls attempting to take down a couple of peasants here. There goes one peasant, and here comes the damage. There's a Death Coil saving. There's a Breath of Fire. Didn't really hit very much, as an Arcane Tower now drains the mana from that Panda. That is going to hurt tremendously, as the Panda only got down one Breath of Fire. There's a second Breath of Fire, but doesn't hit very much either, as it didn't go very far. One more attack onto the onto the Water Elemental would have given level 2 to the Death Knight. I don't believe that was a smart call by WFZ. One of the big things that you need to do is manage your hero levels, and the Death Knight getting to level 2 would have given Unholy Aura, as I mentioned earlier, and a faster retreat. That was just not a smart play at all, as Yumiko is now looking very comfortably in the mid game. That's right, here we see the tech to tier 2 now by Yumiko. Yumiko already having that economic advantage under his belt. Death Knight just now getting the level 2 as the Archmage wants to put pressure while we see a tech to tier 3. There's that Slaughterhouse, but it's going to be quite some time before we see any Obsidian statues. Water Elementals and Footmen trying to make short work of that Slaughterhouse. You can see that the Panda is right there without mana. That Arcane Tower draining all of the mana from that Panda, and that is going to end up hurting as not very much damage or damage output coming out from that Panda. You can see now the Footmen are attempting to take down, or the Crypt are attempting to take down this Footman, and it may get it. Oh, one more shot. No, it is not, as the Footman is going to go ahead and fall at the hands of the Archmage to deny a bit more experience. That arcane play, that WFZ, just pretty much ended up hurting him in the end. Perhaps Yumiko, knowing the timing on that Slaughterhouse and knowing the lack of mana on that Panda, did a rather risky maneuver, and it really paid off. This is one of those things where high-level players are calculating all of their possibilities, all of their choices, and if that Panda just had 140 mana, that fight would have gone very differently, and WFZ would be in the lead. Archmage comes back over with a scroll of regeneration on all of those Footmen. Archmage also dropping some Water Elementals here. Clarity Potion also being used, as the Archmage does in fact have a fair amount of mana. 480 mana on the high side, as the Null Overseer may get taken down. There's a Death Coil in order to ensure the experience as he picks up Sentry Wards. Panda now wandering around here, as the Footmen need to try and get away. The Panda could Breath of Fire to disrupt all of that healing, but it's not going to do very much, as we see the Archmage still has another Scroll of Regeneration ready to use at the drop of a hat. Panda now trying to pull back here as the Footmen are coming in to engage. There's the Sentry Ward keeping track of the units, as the front Footman does throw down defend. Alright, very important engagement here. The Panda could turn around, get a Breath of Fire off. Should be doing exactly that. Not quite sure why he didn't, as we now see the Lich come in with Orb of Corruption. That could be a huge turnaround, as the armor, -5 armor, does make a very big difference. As now the Null Overseer should get taken down. Come on, there it goes. Now with -2 armor total, taking an additional 12% damage across the board. Very effective here. Now, Yumiko pretty much going to be sitting on a whole bunch of guard towers, but I am surprised at the positioning of those guard towers. They are rather close together, meaning destroyers with mana can take them down rather quickly. All it takes is a Death Knight nearby, level 3 Death Knight, to get off 1, maybe 2 Death Coils with a bit of micro, and all of a sudden, your grouped guard towers melt at the magic damage and mana that these Obsidians, that those destroyers have. Death Knight still sitting at level 2 though, as the Archmage sitting at level 3. We did see the Mountain King added here as the second hero, as the Mountain King now tries to regroup with this army and perhaps stun down the Lich or the Death Knight to get a solid hero kill. Alright, let's take a look at this. Yumiko may end up losing that Water Elemental. Yes, does give a bit of experience right there, as the Archmage is in position once more. Alright, there was a purge onto that Panda. And interesting play by WFZ. I don't quite agree with this, as all of a sudden you bring yourself into a position for a Creepjack. Death Knight sitting at level 2, unable to get level 3 off in time, as the Crypt Fiends are getting surrounded by Footmen. There goes another Stormbolt there onto the Panda. Panda is in a bit of trouble, may try to Breath of Fire back, and it looks like damage is being added across the board. The Panda is actually the weakest link here, as there goes another Crypt Fiend. All right, the Panda needs to back off down to 80 some odd mana. If it gets focused down by the Archmage, that would be an extremely big blow, as the Archmage now just needs one more shot. All right, there's the Breath of Fire, gets the level 3. That was a huge play, getting to level 3 to get the to be able to get a little bit more hit points and make it not possible for the Archmage to finish him off. A huge play there, as now it is level 3 Death Knight and Panda against a level 3 Archmage and a level 1, I believe a level 1 Mountain King, wherever he may be. Level 1 Mountain King picks up Boots of Speed. Obsidian Statue needs to heal and add mana to both or all 3 of these heroes, as the Panda now backing off once more. All right, those Murloc Nightcrawlers like to spread the love with that poison, and you see that happening right there. That poison dealing damage over time to the Lich. There's a quick reveal, making sure that there is no hidden sorceress near or any invisible units nearby. All right, let's take a look back to the north. Archmage backing off to give the Mountain King level 2 off of this creep camp. Meanwhile, we're looking at a 56/60 supply for WFZ, hoping to finish this game relatively quickly. The longer this game goes, the better and more gold, or the more gold Yumiko will be getting out of this gold mine, strengthening his army. All right, we're looking at 14 gold a second compared to 7 at this point, as the ghouls are in position. All right, what is this? Spellbreaker. Death Knight now tries to come in. Are we going to see perhaps taken down? Oh, surround onto the Death Knight. The Death Knight now in a little bit of trouble. There you go. There is that damage being added. Obsidian Statue. Death Knight is going to try and, takes a very big health stone right there, and now going after, Potion of Invulnerability now being used. Death Knight may be able to, uses the Scroll of Town Portal at just the right moment, and I actually think that can the Panda get the Mountain King? No, he cannot. If the Mountain King fell, then I would say that was a huge advantage. 1 or 2 destroyers were out of position in that fight, and that may have been a big difference there. Death Knight now with a Potion of Healing and a Potion of Mana, trying to regenerate some more hit points, as I think WFZ realized what was happening here. All right, what's going on? Destroyer now comes across, now going after some of those heroes, and that's all the destroyers can really do, and we may see a bit of an engagement here. All right, let's take a look at this. Units are backing off. Arcane Tower hitting the ghoul instead of hitting that Panda, as we should see Absorb Mana coming across. If we perhaps get 4 destroyers, that is going to be a huge amount of mana, as they're absorbing all of them. They're going into 5 destroyers. All right, WFZ pushing exactly how I thought he would. He's bringing in a whole bunch of units, and you're going to see these guard towers just melt away. There goes one guard tower. Breath of Fire. There goes another guard tower, and there goes another. That's exactly what we expected to see with all of that very closely grouped together guard towers. This is just an absolute destruction here, and so much heavy fortification lost in an instant. Yumiko perhaps not realizing what exactly that WFZ was planning, and now 50/66 supply without the economic advantage. Hero advantage for WFZ. Economic advantage has been neutralized, but you take a look at the army. These destroyers are going to be able to rip through the entire human army, except for those spell breakers. That's the problem. There are so many spell breakers, but this is kind of a blessing in disguise. You don't have to micro your destroyers. They're going to end up going after water elementals, the Archmage, or the Mountain King. All 3 of those targets are going to be easy pickings for those destroyers. Meanwhile, the Spellbreakers are going to try and just go up against Crypt Fiends, which is generally in their favor, but that's not going to matter very much if the destroyers can perhaps take down even more guard towers. You can see all of that over here. The destroyers, however, are out of mana, and that is key. Without mana, those destroyers cannot deal splash damage, and with no splash damage, those guard towers will, in fact, be able to tear apart those destroyers rather quickly. 51/66 supply. That means Yumiko is harvesting the same amount of gold WFZ is, as WFZ has a tremendous army size advantage. All right, let's take a look at what's going on over here. Archmage at level 3, Mountain King at level 3, Death or Paladin now sitting at level 2 will not get to level 3, but will get awfully close. And if he can get to level 3, all of a sudden 3 level 3 heroes to try and make up for the 3 level 3 heroes he's currently going up against. All right, are we going to see a Scroll of Town Portal? You can see there are Spirit Towers and Nerubian Towers off to the north. We are getting up more Obsidian statues just rolling their way in. And I think Yumiko just miscalculated what WFZ was going to bring to the fight. WFZ pretty much calculating perfectly what he needed to do. Archmage now trying to back off in time. Will he be able to get the, yes, gets the water elemental, and more importantly, gets a little bit of devour magic from those destroyers to heal him and get a little bit of mana. Very interesting thing to note right now. Every single creep camp on the map, save for this one, which was partially crept out, has been taken. So there is only one way to gain any more levels on your heroes, and that's by engaging against your opponent. Yumiko sitting at 58 over 66 compared to 72 over 80. That is a definite advantage for WFZ. You don't have to be a math major to know all that, as one Obsidian statue is all that is left. All right, that Obsidian statue going to turn into a destroyer, so no more left as the destroyers are now being brought over to try and take down all of these towers. All right, there goes one. There goes two. There's a whole bunch of flying machines, though, as those flying machines now backing off. The Panda is in the right spot to protect them from the flying machines. If the flying machines just try and fly by, they are going to end up just getting saturated with a whole bunch of Breath of Fire damage. The Panda is in the right spot. Here we go. Spellbreakers now coming in for an engagement. Crypt Fiends are trying to engage here. The Destroyers going after the heroes. Flying Machines going after their targets. There's a Death Coil as the Flying Machines are out of, the Destroyers are out of mana, which means that the Flying Machines can actually win this fight. Flying Machines versus Destroyers, they counter each other. The big difference is who has the mana. Panda now getting taken down, and Yumiko may come back with this huge play. Massive Flying Machines to completely counteract the Destroyer army. And all of a sudden, Yumiko says, you know what? If you counter me, I can counter you. And a beautiful Stormbolt. One beautiful back and forth game as we're looking at the supply count now, 27 over 80 compared to 50 over 66. Beautiful play by Yumiko to recover from what looked like a tremendous loss. And I am surprised that WFZ did not build abominations. With the number of spellbreakers that we saw, there was no reason to continue to add more destroyers. Having 7 to 8 destroyers and having one unit that can actually just get countered so quickly was the big problem. If he saved his mana to try and take down the flying machines, that would have been a completely different story. But what we ended up seeing was that Yumiko hid his flying machines, and then when the time came to bring them out, all of a sudden it looked like somewhere around 14 flying machines flew out of nowhere with their flak cannons and a true shot aura to shoot those units down. The 2-1 upgrades also helping out tremendously, and the fact that WFZ was trying to fight against those flying machines in a position where the Panda could not protect them. All right, Yumiko, all he needs to do now is get the bomb upgrade, and these flying machines may just drop the bomb onto all of these buildings and call it done. All the flying machines now pretty much can't do anything. And the flying machines, you see them flying overhead, all they can really do is just capture or show shades. WFZ getting the memo a little bit late that he does in fact need abominations to try and counter all of these Crypt Fiends. And the Crypt Fiends, yeah, now finally coming out with web, but still not doing very much of anything. Essence of Mana now by those Obsidian statues to try and get that Panda back up and operational. Are we going to perhaps see a Breath of Fire? No, that was backed off just in time as the Panda still trying to get more mana. All right, Abomination is coming into play here. Are we going to see a Breath of Fire? Oh, no Breath of Fire, even though that is just the perfect timing for that. There goes one water elemental as the Breath of Fire does go down onto the Paladin. Paladin, however, the least attractive target, as that Divine Shield for 30 seconds will pretty much put him out of harm's way. All right, back over here. Ghouls now trying to make their way over to the expansion that Yumiko is now reconstructing. Gold mines have been mined out here, as you can see, and now this is just going to be just a token battle here. I think Yumiko can just take out his opponent. There's nothing that is really that scary. And Yumiko knows that I don't need to go into this fight. I don't need to engage. It takes you longer to haunt a gold mine. I know that you haven't haunted a gold mine as of yet. And that is going to end up giving me about 600 to 700 extra gold. All right, let's take a look. Still no upgrades at all. The fight still going down. The Panda now backing off. The Panda, which was such a strong hero early on, now no longer the case. Obsidian statues in the backfield. Stormbolt onto the Lich. Lich will need to back off. There's a Frost Nova onto the Paladin as the Paladin ends up wholly lighting the Mountain King. The Obsidian statues now realizing I don't need to go after those abominations. I just need to go after the Obsidian statues, as the Obsidian statues now back off. All right, Mountain King now backing off here. Some easy more attacks. Panda now taking a little bit more damage as the Panda now tries to get away. All right, let's take a look at this. These Spellbreakers now backing off. Abominations with very, very fast movement speed, going to be able to catch up. Paladin with Holy Light doing a great job. There's a Divine Shield just saying you can't touch this. And I believe the GG is in order as soon as Yumiko shuts down any hope of an expansion here. Once this haunted gold mine is canceled or these acolytes are gone, that will be the end of that. And there you have it. No real way of getting any more economy. And all that needs to happen is the forfeit. All right, what's going to be happening here? Panda now tries to get an engagement. Holy Light, Frost Nova, Potion of Invulnerability, and Yumiko comes back in game number 1 to take it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed game 1. That was a really, really solid game. Please stay tuned for game number 2.